Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Watching the Throne. And I'm your host, Nico, aka Maester Stats, for the purposes of this episode. And of course, JT, Sir JT over there. What's going on? And returning guest here and Game of Thrones super fan, Kyle, aka Lord K. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having
Lord
me
K. What's Lord K? What's this? He just wants to be a lord. You gotta be a sir, bro. You're smarter when you're a sir or a maester.
And
What do you mean the lords order the sirs around?
Yeah, lord's got small penis syndrome.
And if JT looks like he's in the dark there, like the Game of Thrones episodes as they get darker and darker as these two seasons go on, he's actually just recording from the car here today. So apologies about maybe some of the audio quality coming out from his end today. But what are you going to do? JT lives in the car now. That's where his Wi-Fi is strongest.
It is, actually, to be honest.
He's making all the effort to do this episode with us today.
Face forward to the house, I get the Wi-Fi the best.
All right, guys, we're here to talk about the first episode of season 7. 13 episodes to go, 12 after this. We're in the final countdown here, Jay, of this journey of this show that we started here, Watching the Throne, as well as Game of Thrones here. What'd you think of this episode? Episode 1 of season 7, Dragonstone. What'd you think of this, Jay?
Oh, it was a, when you guys said that stuff was going to start happening quickly, I didn't realize how quickly stuff happened, and you can kind of see that time period. I guess you guys said, was it you guys that were saying to me that there was a time period between this one and the last season that it took before it was released? Yeah, so I can see the difference, in the characters. I mean, I have a few things I want to say about that too.
The last season especially too, because like the last season, because you got to remember this one's 7 episodes, the next one's 6, and we had to wait, that usual time of the year, maybe even more. I don't know. I can't remember, Kyle, if it was delayed or not. It may have been, because I do remember there was a large gap, if not leading into season 7 from season 6, maybe from 7 to 8, but I think it was just because there was so little shows too, Jay, that the 2 years to put out 13 episodes when we're used to getting 10, that was the big deal, right? I think it was, right? So I think that's why it kind of felt like really long in between seasons. Yeah. I don't know if it delayed so much. I don't know, Kyle. Do you recall? I don't think so.
I think they were. I think it was like a year and a half in between seasons.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. If maybe it was a year and a half, but it's nothing like we've just kind of had to endure with like House of the Dragon with the 2-year gap of after the first season, right? Which has been summer, but okay, things start to move fast. I mean, I don't even think I don't know about you, Kyle, but I didn't feel like revisiting this episode. This was as much of an indication of how the season goes moving forward, even this season moving into the next season. I thought this one kind of felt like still like we were in one of the older seasons. Like, I don't know if this was a great indicator of like what was to come this episode. This kind of felt like still in line with, I think, everything we were dealing with at the end of the last season. I don't know. What do you think?
It was a solid start. I mean, you wouldn't assume anything's off from, what the normal status quo was for a normal season or whatnot, but you'll quickly see.
I think Jay is referring to the next episode that she already went ahead and watched. I think is maybe even more so. I think that things start to happen, right?
I'm only halfway through that one, so
yeah.
Things do start to happen in the next one, but even this one, you see, we'll get to it when we start talking through this one. I'll bring up a part that I realized that in this episode that was kind of weird.
Okay, yeah, I hope it's the thing I'm thinking of too, because I didn't hear nothing from you. I thought maybe you would have made this comment to me prior to. I was just telling Kyle, so it'll be interesting to get your take on that.
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think of this episode, revisiting it? Like, is there a reason why you picked this episode to join us again, or is just kind of like you wanted to join us on one of these seasons before you think it all goes down
Well,
goes to hell, essentially?
On the last episode, we were talking about Aya and her face swapping powers and how she hadn't used it or anything. And then, the opening scene of this episode was just like it had so much potential. It was such a good,
which I forgot about.
Old, I kind of figured from the last episode, when I was throwing hints, but as soon as you see old Walder's face up there, you're like, what? Something's up, and
I forgot about that, because I'm telling you right now, during this period of time, I've forgotten the most. Like, there's a lot of things that we're all revisiting it once again here. Like, for me, for anybody who hasn't seen this show before, I'm only rewatching this for the first time after watching it years ago and never rewatching it. Like, I don't feel like I've rewatched any episodes. JT is seeing this show for the first time, and then Kyle has seen it a few times, I think, at this point. That's joining us here today. So yeah, this is, I don't remember many things during this period of time. Like, I feel like because of the gap, the fact that there was so little episodes, I think the fact that so many people were hating on it at this point, I don't think we got into as much deep discussions at the time as fans, I feel like, during this period of time with these last seasons, because I think up to this, there was so much more potential for everything building to this point, right? And then, one thing I did want to mention, though, in this season, in this episode, even the next episode, what you really are getting to start to see, I think that we maybe take for granted, is finally all of these people coming together. You're seeing all these connections of deep-seated kind of things that had happened all the way back seasons ago, how people are starting to meet with each other that have maybe heard of this other person or know somebody that knows that person intimately, right? Like, you're really seeing everything come together finally now. Like, it's actually really well done. I think we should give them, I think, props for that. Like, at the very least, like, I think like the structure of it is really well done, honestly, with a lot of these people meeting up. Do you agree or no? Because I'm enjoying seeing all those connections.
It's different. It's like I'm starting to see people that I didn't see, run into each other, or maybe not run into each other for a while, and I had to kind of remember who the fuck they were.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that, and so it is a lot to take in, but hopefully we can get, hopefully it won't be so hard for me. Like, I'm literally writing little parts now, instead of these big paragraphs, because it just jumps from scene to scene very quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't know about you, Kyle, but
season 7 as a whole wasn't, I would say wasn't bad. It's just timing. They, you go from having 10 episodes and they cut it to 7. That was kind of a drag. And then you're like, it wasn't a bad season, but they definitely could have filled it with another 3 episodes. And then season 8 is, season 8. But season 7 on a whole wasn't too bad. This episode being one of them, like I said, started off strong. I do like how, everyone's path is finally converging on the final destination. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into it.
See where it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kyle knows where it goes, but he's not too happy about it.
I'm still waiting. It's been, it took me a while to get into this one. So
I was about to say, we'll have to see if we can convince him to join us on one of the episodes in season 8. All right.
If he even likes it, right?
Yeah, let's it'll be hard for him to give his criticism where he's got to be, you know what I mean? He can't just trash it. You know what I mean? All right, so first scene here in the Riverlands at the Twins, we got, as Kyle alluded to, Walder Frey, presumably at the start there. He organized a feast And he summoned every Frey who took part in the Red Wedding there. And under the pretext of revealing his plans, Walder orders the servants to serve them wine but harshly tells his latest wife that he is not wasting any wine on a damn woman. Kind of tells her not to drink the wine. As he goes for a toast, everyone drinks the wine. Thanks his family for helping him to slaughter the Starks, and backhandedly compliments his brood for the violent deaths of King Robb Stark, his wife Talisa Stark, their unborn child, and Lady Catelyn Stark, much to the nervous laughter of his family. I would have thought something was up right from here, because this guy's never this fucking nice and jolly. Like, whatever. Yeah. What's going on here? Like, what's going on here?
Especially to his sons. That was his sons, or were those? Yeah. So those are the. So I didn't think he was. I was like, what the fuck's going on? He's giving them wine.
He's just such a prick in every other scene that we've seen him in. Here, he's like, "Oh, I just want to thank you all." Like, but no one's gonna suspect that this guy is not actually like. Look at him, right? She did a great job of disguising herself as Walder Frey in this scene, right? And I had forgotten that, so it was nice to see her actually use the skill set she picked up, let's say, in the last season, right here in this scene. So.
It's about time we got to see that skill set put into play. Like, Kyle was talking about it, and we were talking about it with the House of the Faces and all that stuff. And, it was nice to see something come out of that first, like that start off the whole fucking episode.
It was a nice start to the season, a nice cold open scene. Like, you're right, they didn't do the intro and all that kind of shit, but where it goes from here, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But like, it did feel ultimately pointless at the end of the last season. I stick by that. At the end of last season, you're like, no, this was kind of pointless, right? This whole story, right? So, anyways, however, when the Freys begin to choke from poison wine, Walder gives them shit for not killing all the Starks. Walder remarks, "Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe." As his family members die around him, Walder then reveals himself as a disguised Arya Stark, who has exacted revenge on those who arranged the massacre of her mother and brother at the Red Wedding. Arya spares Walder's wife and the servants. She tells them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey, which was a pretty badass fucking line, I think, to start off the season too, right? She's actually doing something about this, and actually these people on her list are actually getting got, right? Like, finally, these people like are on her list that she's been traveling around. So I gotta give it up to Arya, man. That's pretty sick what she did there at the start. So
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it was a good start.
I wasn't expecting it. I don't know about Kyle. I mean, Kyle was expecting it, obviously, I would think.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
But I could only imagine what he was thinking. I wonder what JT's thinking when he sees her pull off her face there. Mm-hmm. I was tripped out.
Yeah, I bet. I didn't remember either. Like I said, like once it started going, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, now I remember. But at first, I had no idea, and then when all of them started sipping the wine, and he's just like, nah, no, don't drink that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Arya. Well, no, we already knew something was. You should have knew something was up. We already seen him get killed, right? Yeah. He's dead. We know this already, right? But no one else knew that in this scene, right? As of yet, because remember, he was waiting for his son. We seen already her take him out the last episode. So. But
I didn't know why he was back, so it threw me off. If you know what I mean, like
past occurrence or something. Yeah, that's true. Beyond the wall, a column of White Walkers in this next scene after the intro riding undead horses leads a horde of whites through a snowstorm. This part is scary because their numbers include at least 3 undead fucking giants. This was like a scary looking part. You can barely see anything.
Are they undead? Like, but they're dead. But they're
part of
back to life.
They're part of their army because they resurrect dead. They can resurrect dead people. Like that's basically now they've made the giants part of their army. And as we know, they lost a bunch of giants in the last battle, the wildlings there, right? So wherever they go, bro, they just collect people like dead in their wake with them, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like
collecting souls, man.
Well, they're just people that are just dead, like their bodies are there, right? If any battlefield they walk across, there's dead people. It just becomes part of their army and shit, right? So that was it was cool visually though. Like you could barely see anything as the smoke, like the snow and stuff was going. I thought it was a pretty kind of, chilling scene. Let's say, like kind of setting that up, right? You getting scared, Jay, of this White Walkers or what?
No, it looks like they're starting to, HBO's like starting to, maybe we'll give them a little bit more money for these last 2 seasons. We might have to cut the episode short, but we'll give them a little bit more money to mess with CGI.
Right. Something I alluded to at the start, actually, and there were some scenes in this episode, and I looked it up too, that because I remember people complaining about it when it originally happened. So I'll ask Kyle quickly about this. Something that I alluded to about Jay being in the dark over here is a lot of people complained about how these seasons right now, there's a lot of dark battles, dark scenes. There's a lot of darkness and things that you can't really see very well in certain scenes of this show. And when I looked it up, it looks like there was a lot of people starting with this season, especially that were talking about it at the time. And I remember that being the case. There's even a big fight coming up, I think, at some point in this season or next season, that the whole fucking thing is a fight in the nighttime. So like, it's very hard to see everything that's going on. And I've seen a lot of different people commenting on it, people that worked on the show saying that was purposeful. Other people saying like, people don't know how to adjust the brightness on their TVs and shit like this. Kyle, do you remember this being an issue with the lighting of a lot of these scenes? Because I know that some of the production people backed up their choices, saying like they purposely were doing that because they wanted to get more of a darker feeling. And certain scenes where like they don't have electricity, so there's just going to be dimly lit candles in the room and shit like that. What do you think about this, Kyle?
Yeah, I remember back in the day, everyone complaining about how dark it was and having to fuck with your TV and whatnot. But yeah, I get where they're coming from.
We're just too spoiled with electricity these days, eh?
Look at this dimly lit dungeon. What the fuck is
flashlights we got?
What is this?
Yeah.
You know what, though? It's because it was such a jarring change from earlier seasons of the show where it was very well lit in a lot of the fucking scenes. And then I feel like they made a choice all of a sudden, and a lot of the scenes weren't very well lit all of a sudden, right? Well, I'm not saying like it shouldn't be dark because a lot of the scenes are set up to be dark, right? It's just like, I just feel like as viewers, like you said, we were kind of spoiled on the fact that we were getting all this professional lighting done, and all of a sudden they just took a step back, and like all of a sudden you can't see certain parts of the show. And I'm sure if you adjust your brightness, but it was a thing people complained about at the time, right? I remember. So like and rewatching some of this on my phone of all places, I was just like, yeah, I don't know. So I think I got to turn the brightness up a little bit on here, right? So,
yeah. Anyways, but it actually works. You could actually turn the brightness up, and it actually does look a little better. Even not the greatest. It gets a little bit white, but yeah, we could see it. But I would think that war and stuff and fighting and stuff usually would happen at the night, and it kind of surprise people, and not sleep all day or sleep all night, and let's go to fight during the day.
Meanwhile, Bran Stark and Mira Reed reach the gate beneath Castle Black. They are greeted by the acting Lord Commander Edison Tullett and several armed Black brothers. Ed asks if they are wildlings, but Mira introduces herself and Bran. When Ed asks them to verify their identities, Bran responds by recognizing Ed from the conflicts at the Fist of the First Men in Hardhome, observing that he had seen the army of the dead. Ed decides to bring the two of them inside, glancing nervously at the increasingly hostile land beyond the wall. Yeah.
Okay, guys. I had a problem with this scene. Both of you guys, okay?
Interesting. Okay, what's the problem?
If I remember correctly, the last episode I seen Bran in, he was a younger kid. He looked like he looked taller than me when he was being pulled on that sled. And if you noticed, it didn't just take the girl to pull him. It took two full-grown men to pull him into the castle, into the wall. Okay, so there had to be a time change. There had to be a time gap in between when he shot his last video to this one.
So yeah, good point.
He looked like a teenager. He looked like he's 18 in this.
It's called a growth spurt. All right, like what do you want? Like that happens sometimes.
But still, it looks so weird.
Yeah, it does. Okay, good catch. I'll give you that. Good catch. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's actually the tree, Jay. You know that tree when he became part of the tree, it actually made him grow.
It made him older. Yeah, it made him taller. Yeah.
I'm sure if you ask the production people, that's what they would tell you. Well, actually, George R. R. Martin's like,
well, they don't have poor big ass Hodor to fucking pull it, right? They have to get the poor girl out to pull him. What's her name? Mira. Yeah, Mira. They have to get her to pull. Like it looks like oh man, the kids should be pulling her on the sleigh.
I just love how Bran's always the bringer of bad news. He's like, they're coming for us, for all of us. Like, all right, whatever, come in this fucking place. Like,
but I won't tell you they're following me though.
honestly, I don't care who they are. Like, if some crippled kid makes it to the fucking place where the Night's Watch is, you can let him in anyway.
Yeah.
I can't even walk. No, get out of here.
Yeah, go back where you came from.
I don't care who you are. All right.
Oh.
So, yeah, no, it's just funny. Good catch, though, Jay. That was good. Yeah.
I don't know. Bran, as an adult, shows up.
At Winterfell, the king in the north, Jon Snow, organizes the defense of the north against the Night King and his army of the dead. He asks that all maesters start searching for dragon glass, stressing it is now more valuable than gold due to its effectiveness against the White Walkers. Jon also requests that Tormund and his people man Eastwatch by the sea, as Tormund and other wildlings were present at Hardhome and have seen the Night King, and Tormund agrees to defend this castle. Jon orders all able-bodied men and boys aged 10 to 60 in his kingdom to be trained in combat in order to defend against the encroaching threat of the White Walkers. What do you think of this decision there, Kyle, that he wants everybody to kind of be able to defend themselves given what's happening? Do you agree with this, or give it, like, you know, the situation that they're in, or as a father?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the news you want to hear, right? But
No.
I get where John's coming from, right? We're all going to be dead if we don't all band together, right? And they don't exactly have a lot of able-bodied men anymore after all the bullshit wars they've all been fighting. I don't ever remember seeing in the actual battle any women fighting.
I think it's last resort. Like, you can be able to defend yourself if something were like to happen, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if they kind of catch them, because usually in this, even in the show, the women and children, they try to hide them. But like sometimes, you know, if somebody were to come in there or something, right, they may put a couple of men with them protecting them, but otherwise they're on their own, right? I think you're right. I don't think it ever came to that point, but I guess they just want them to be ready, maybe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I see where he was coming from.
Yeah, because having only half of the population in the north fighting the White Walkers is not enough. He also orders that every woman and girl should also be trained and equipped as well. When Robert Glover balks at the idea of arming his young granddaughter, Lady Lyanna, who's got more balls than half of the people in this room, Mormont, remarks that she certainly will not remain idle and volunteers to help, giving her assurance that every girl on Bear Island will be trained alongside the boys. The words of the young lady once more remind the older lords of their place, and they agree. You love her, AJ, as this role. You like her as this?
She's a badass, man. She stood up once again, man.
Yeah. She's wise for her age, that's for sure, right? So,
you know? But no, she stood up. She's right, man. She's doing stuff on her own. Why can't they? They all got to be probably roughly around the same age, right? If you think about it, there's probably younger ones, obviously, but you know, it was just. It was a good move by her. Good stance. Another good stance by her.
Yeah, I agree. The next order of business is the possibility of the walkers getting past the wall. If they do, Jon notes that the first obstacles they encounter will be the castles of Last Hearth and Carhold. The seats belonging to the two northern houses that fought alongside the Boltons. Lord Jon Royce says that the castle should be demolished for their lord's treachery, but Sansa Stark interjects that Last Hearth and Carhold committed no crimes and urges her half-brother to instead strip the Umbers and Karstarks of their castles as punishment for turning against the Starks. However, Jon advocates forgiveness and insists that children will not be punished for the crimes of their fathers. Despite Sansa's continued insistence, Jon insists his decision is final, and she reluctantly obliges. Jon then summons Ned Umber and Alice Karstark, both of whom are children who obviously played no part in their father's betrayal and are clearly terrified of what will happen to them. He asks them to reaffirm their loyalties to House Stark. They oblige and kneel before King Jon. Jon says that the mistakes of the past don't matter anymore. Peter Baelish watches the proceedings with a smile.
Every time I see Baelish now, all I hear is Nico. Sansa. That's all I hear in my head, bro. Every time I watch this show now, every time, and in this next couple of episodes, he's doing that.
Tell me he doesn't do it. Yes, thank you. Now you see it, right? Now he does it.
Yes, but he's always got that creepy fucking look that you talk about. Always. Now I can't stop looking at it.
This is why I said it, though. That's why he always stuck in my head after this show because of that. I used to watch it and fucking do it then back when I watched it. Baelish is a creep, man. I mean, listen, I love the guy who plays him, but he's a fucking creep, especially as the show goes on. He becomes creepier and creepier.
I bet. Like now you're seeing just more of those still faces from him in the scenes. If you notice, like those
Yeah,
You know, when Sansa talks or whatever. So it's kind of like
posted up against the wall.
doesn't say nothing, just chills there and looks on. It's like get that grin,
Sansa.
you know. Sansa,
It,
make my chest rattle there.
in private, John talks to he questions Sansa for his gives her shit for questioning his decision making in front of the other lords and ladies. He tells Sansa that while she is his sister and she can question his decisions, doing so when he is publicly addressing the Northern Lands lords and ladies undermines his position with them. Yeah, no, he's right. When Sansa responds that the late Joffrey Baratheon did not tolerate dissent, Jon reassures her that he is not Joffrey. Sansa tells Jon that she knows he is nothing like Joffrey and assures Jon that he is good at leadership, but she wants him to be wiser than their late father and brother. She confides that their father sought to protect her from the harshness of reality, including swearing. Maester Wolkan then delivers a message from the newly crowned Queen Cersei Lannister. Though she is apparently not opposed to House Stark reclaiming the North from House Bolton, she demands that they submit to her authority. While Jon is preoccupied with preparing to fight the Night King, Sansa warns him not to underestimate Cersei. So Jay, what do you think of this this pairing here, these two kind of like dealing with the north side of stuff right now? What do you think of Cersei's message here? Do you do you think Sansa's info and experience is valuable?
Well, it would, you know what John says it in a thing. It's like he almost admires her. It's almost like he admires her. I mean, after she compliments him on, you know, how his ruling is, they have their little talk, you know, because he's questioning stuff about, you know, she's questioning stuff about his authority and stuff like that, you know. It's, I guess, a brotherly, sisterly love sort of thing. But honestly, I was wondering too, it almost seems like when she's talking about Cersei and knowing things, it's almost like she has like a fond, like a respect for her. It's like, is she gonna be that person? Is she gonna be a kind of a bitch like her? Is she gonna turn out like her?
I mean,
Like,
she
but
does.
she knows how to hold her own.
Yeah, she does. She says that she did learn a lot from her, but but I think it is the fact that she has had experience with all these people firsthand over Jon, and I think he keeps kind of making decisions where she feels she should be checking with her about certain aspects of these characters. I think it is invaluable to have her like as part of the team there, right? I think it is. Like, I think it's good that she's there, but she's got to understand she also doesn't understand this other stuff, like about coordinating the war efforts and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? The strategic side of stuff that Jon has had to deal with, right? So like I think they're having a hard time working together, these two, right? That's why I you know, this whole situation here in this episode, like I don't know if I really love this pairing as much as I would rather.
Well, they gotta get used to each other, I would think. They just got back in each other's company again, you know what I mean? So they gotta kind of get used to, you know, kind of like living under the same household, their family, right?
What do you think,
So
Paul?
you would think.
I don't know. I'm no huge fan of Sansa's by now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And, you know, her questioning him and all that. Like, I don't know how many times he gave her the subtle shut the fuck up gesture. She just wouldn't take the hint. But,
Well, he did say everything. What did he say? He said everything before the word "but" is like that her father said, or that his father said. He goes, everything before the word "but" means mouth is bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. And then he says, wanted to live or die by the sword, and my word is final. And then she finally stops talking. But,
so
yeah, I don't know.
Not a fan of Sansa this way. Got it. Yeah, I figured. Not a lot of people were, I feel like, at the time.
Well, you know what? I'm starting to feel like this whole series, not like these next two seasons are starting to turn into. If this is any lead off, this first episode, all these women and all this women power now. So we'll have to see where that goes. I mean, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's almost like the men are turning into a little bit of pussies. So
there is a lot of women in a lot of positions of power right now. Absolutely. All right. In King's Landing, at Queen Cersei shows Jaime Lannister a giant map of Westeros she is having painted on the floor. Jaime has not spoken since his return due to his anger with Cersei over the death of their youngest son. the late King Tommen Baratheon. Cersei tells Jaime that their estranged brother Tyrion Lannister has returned with Queen Daenerys Targaryen at the head of an armada. Jaime thinks that Daenerys will land her forces at the fortress of Dragonstone. The Targaryen princess is likely to be drawn to her birthplace. The castle is unoccupied since Stannis Baratheon abandoned it for his doomed campaign in the north. And more importantly, the deep water around the island will allow her fleet to make anchor. Cersei notes that they have enemies in the southwest and north, Dorne, the Tyrells, and the Starks, respectively. Yeah, so they're not in.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think? Where did I read? Do you think that Jamie's actually a little bit afraid of her now? Like, does he seem like he's a little bit, or is he more worried? Like,
I mean,
of her reactions.
They've gone through a lot, and I think he's definitely worried that she's now moved into this position of power. Absolutely. I mean, like, it's because, you know, you got to remember he serves whoever's in that chair too. And then they have their own relationship thing going on, and their brother. It's a weird fucking situation, especially if like he has to stand by her and go off of her. And again, she's coming from it. And, you know, this isn't to say because she's a woman, but she's emotionally reacting to a lot of things, let's say right now, that probably have occurred to them. Right. I think. And, but you know, don't give her short shrift either, man. She has been by her father, like she says, a long time, like seeing him do shit. You know, Cersei's kind of new. Like there's a reason why she's there right now, despite her children all getting killed. Right. Like, you know, don't count her out, man. She's fucking she's pretty slick, right? Cersei, absolutely. So I don't know.
And she looks mean too. Like she just looks like a miserable bitch, you know, like you don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd like to see where this is going, especially with those two.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Cersei has dreams of ushering in a long dynasty. Jaime tells Cersei that they are losing the war. And with all their children dead, not to mention the deaths of Kevin and Lancel in the Great Sept explosion, there is no Lannister line to inherit the Iron Throne. When Jaime asks Cersei about Tommen, she responds angrily that he betrayed them. Cersei adds that they are the only living Lannisters who count. Jaime tells her that they need allies and reports that House Frey has been exterminated. Cersei angrily reminds them that she has been listening to their father's counsel for the past 40 years and has learned some things. So yeah, I guess we'll see, right, Jay? We'll see what ends up happening with that. But yeah, it's you know, like
there's
I said,
a lot of pieces that are all mixed up in the air now. Like I'm really having to try to focus on where and who's talking with who, and because they're just really throwing names around right now too, right? Like, I mean, if you hadn't, I mean, now that I've watched this from the beginning, I can understand the names, but they're also. It's also, if you noticed it, this one too, there's certain things that if you listen carefully, it's kind of leading into, it's kind of going back to the history of the House of Dragons, if anybody's watched that one yet, right? So it's kind of weird. It's throwing me kind of like doesn't seem like it's, you know, so far away, but, you know, in the past.
Yeah.
Because they talk about stuff like that, right?
A large Ironborn fleet bearing the sigil of House Greyjoy sails into King's Landing. Cersei tells Jaime that she is planning to forge an alliance with Euron Greyjoy. Jaime criticizes her decision and points out that the Greyjoys are oathbreakers and bitter killers. Then in the throne room, Queen Cersei and Jaime host Euron seeking revenge against Yara and Theon for running away with part of the fleet. Euron proposes that they join forces to murder their enemies, including Tyrion. Who the fuck would trust this guy, though, man? This guy, like, honestly,
Euron?
Yeah, come on, bro. Like, who's gonna trust this fucking guy? Listen, I know you've seen the next episode. This guy is a piece of shit. Let's be honest. This guy's a piece of garbage. Like,
well, just his personality, right? Like he's got that fucking cockiness in him.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, this guy thinks he's getting away with it. Like, even at first, Cersei pretends to hear him out, and you know, Jaime wants no part of this fucking guy. He's like, really, this fucking guy, right? And then then there's the whole thing where he asks him to, like, you know, basically like says that he wants to be with her, like, kind of thing, and she has to like shoot a glance at fucking Jaime. That thing's all weird. And then like, honestly, she even says to him, like, no, I can't trust you. You're the most fucking untrustworthy fucking guy ever. Why do I trust you? I'm just like, why are you even entertaining this guy? I don't understand. Like, it's just ridiculous. Kyle, am I wrong? Like really, this fucking guy.
Not at all. He's he's talking to Jamie about when Jamie's like, yeah, we made it to the Iron Islands anyway. He's like, oh, yeah, I was there, and you were cutting people down. It was like poetry. He's like, it was your own family, It's getting crowded anyway.
He's like, yeah, but if I didn't run away then, I wouldn't have been here now. And look at me. I got the whole Iron Board with me. I'm just like, what?
Very cocky, bro.
Bro. This guy couldn't wait. As soon as they put that thing on his neck when he like took over the Iron Board, literally a second later, he's like, kill those fucking beyond and I'm already gone. Like, come on, bro. Like, really, this fucking guy? And I'm like, really? This is like, I get it. He's like a pirate, but like, use him.
That's some nice ships, though.
Yeah, sure, but like, use him and then throw. It's just funny that they're even entertaining his conversation here right now. I don't know. I get it. She needs people in her quarter, but like, this is ridiculous. I wouldn't trust this fucking guy at all. Not for a second. Not to say she does, but because she says she doesn't. But I wouldn't even entertain this meeting, quite frankly, if I were in her position, right? That's why Jamie's like, "Are you serious right now?" Anyways, Jamie questions his legitimacy and trustworthiness. Euron talks about the Greyjoy Rebellion, as you just mentioned, Jamie's swordsmanship, while subtly inferring to Cersei Jamie's loss of a hand makes him inadequate for the wars ahead. Euron adds that he went into exile because of the Greyjoy Rebellion and has returned a feared and experienced pirate captain, and boasts that the Iron Fleet is the greatest fleet that Westeros has ever seen and a military asset that would let the Lannisters reclaim the control of the seas. Euron proposes to marry Cersei to seal a marriage pact. Cersei declines due to Euron's history of oath breaking and his role in murdering his brother. They even know about this. Like, really? Like, really? Why? Even though he killed his brother. Neither phased or disappointed, Euron promises that when he returns to King's Landing, he will deliver his finest gift to Cersei. Now, Jay, I know you've seen the next episode, so you know what this gift was, okay? Without that being said,
I don't know if that 100% what the gift was. I understand what's happened in the next episode, but I don't know how I understand how that's part of the gift.
Yeah, because we normally try to watch a couple episodes at a time, guys, when we record. But did you know? Okay, so if you're not even sure at this time, did you have any theories about what this was going to be? What he was referring to? No. Okay.
No, he just said he was going to leave, and he was going to return with the gift. Right, and well, the best was when he said, he's got 1,000 ships in 2 good hands. Like, when he threw that shot at Jamie, I was dying, bro.
I know he's, man, this guy. I don't know. His presence annoys me. Like, I like him as a character, but he's such a piece of garbage.
Yeah, there was another one too. Cersei says, "Well, you killed." They said, "Well, you killed your." Cersei says, "You killed your brother, your only brother." And she's like, "Well, it's not so bad. You should try it too." Like.
I know. It just throws that in there, right?
Oh man, he's too much.
At the Citadel in Old Town, Samwell Tarly is assigned to menial work. This is Jay's favorite part. His duties include serving the maesters meals, emptying their chamber pots, and shelving books. While browsing through the library, he stares at a book behind a locked grate in the restricted section. So here's my question to you, Jay. Well, after seeing this, what would you rather do? Would you rather work here with the bed pots or in the Night's Watch where he was previously? Where would you rather be? I want to ask both of you. Go ahead, Jay. Where would you rather work? I know where I'd rather personally, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably guess where you'd rather work. It's all behind you like that. But, and you basically do the same thing that he does right now anyways, if you think about it, literally, figuratively speaking, But, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather be at the Night Watch. I don't give a fuck about the books.
Kyle?
But I like helping people.
Okay, that's true. But sorry, I didn't hear Kyle there. What'd you say, Kyle?
I'd rather be at the Citadel.
Dave, yeah, I'd rather I don't care. Yeah, the cleaning the fucking shit pots is shitty, but I'd rather be.
But I wouldn't mind doing that because I don't mind helping people when they need it like that. It's weird, but I don't want to read the books.
No, but I'm just right now. He's not even really doing too much of the bookkeeping, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, he's just putting them away.
Like they're.
Is it me or are they all chained up? Those books.
A lot of them, yeah, they are, yeah, because they don't want people to run off with the fucking information, right? The very secret texts, right? For sure.
Yeah. It's just tripping me out. It's like, I think that's chains on the books, man. What the fuck? Who puts chains on the books? They don't even do that nowadays.
It's in a fucking library. You can't just fucking take the one book they have on like like whatever disease, right? Like fucking Westeros, right?
I like how all the old maesters in there are just like hazing them too. Like, pick up that shit. Let's go. We all been through this. Like,
But
no, you can't.
Kyle, I got a
in the
question for
restricted
you.
section.
I got a question for you, Kyle. Now, the stuff that's going from the old maesters that are shitting themselves, and the stuff that's going into the same bowls when they're eating, is it all the same food? You think they're eating the other maester shit? Because it really looks, the food looks like crap, and it's in the same bowls.
It's all muddy water, everything, the food and the fucking. It's true.
They
That
scrub out the bowls of shit, and then they put them on the table.
That whole scene, the way they cut it together, it does look like that. Like it looks like he's putting things on the table, taking the bed pots away, and it all looks like shitty shit. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I like how they but it kind of gave you the feeling like day in and day out, this is what he's doing, right? Like it's like, you know, he's like, and then like Kyle said, he's getting disrespected by folks. They're like, yeah, fucking pick that up for whatever he's getting bumped into, you know.
There's a couple like nasty scenes where they transition from like what Sam's doing to something else. Like I think it's in this next episode.
Next episode, yes.
You're just like, oh man, and then after you're.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Later, Sam helps Archmaester Ebros to dissect a corpse. Sam asks him if he can read, if he has read his proposition. In light of what he has seen in the north, Sam asks for permission to read the restricted section. When Sam says that he has truly seen the army of the dead, he responds that maesters are naturally critical. Still, he accepts Sam's claim because the stories about the Long Night are corroborated in a number of sources. The Archmaester reminds him that maesters are guardians of knowledge and history. Still, the Archmaester believes that the wall will not fall because it has stood for millennia. He tells Sam to finish his job. Later that night, Sam steals the master's key and enters the forbidden section of the library. Sam pulls moves like this, eh? Like I gotta say, he has some balls sometimes. Like, taking up the sword from his father that one time, you know, like breaking in to fucking do this. Like he's just like, yeah. When he tries to go about it in his own way, but when he's not afraid to kind of go above and beyond for things he thinks are right. That's what I like about Sam. So,
there's a few good lines in that one too. Like you know how they're basically those guys there are basically the man's memory. You know, if it wasn't for them, that what did he say? There was that one line in the one because if it wasn't for them, they would be better off, a little better than dogs. Right? The men. Yeah. If it wasn't for like the guys that were at the Citadel there, and writing all that shit, it was fucking pretty crazy, man. To think it like that.
Yeah, I like too his explanation about the wall being there all that time. It's kind of just you can kind of relate that to like the human race's way to endure. You know what I mean? Like past like whatever ends up happening to us. You know what I mean? Like we go through a lot of shit in the history of the world, obviously, but we keep moving forward. Like that's kind of what I felt like he was kind of saying with that. He's like, listen, the wall was before I was born was there. It's going to be there long after I'm gone. He's like, whatever. He's like about the wall, right? He's like, it doesn't matter what we do. Like, I'm sure it's going to be fine, right? Like it's an interesting way of thinking, but at the same time, they're dealing with some crazy shit that he doesn't even understand at this point. Like in theory, he understands there's White Walkers, but it's not like he's ever come face to face with what Sam has in that sense, right? Because I think he would be talking differently about it, right? So.
Sam's a smart guy. He's like one of like the next generation. You would think in your head of a maester, like thinking outside the box as opposed to where all these guys are still thinking, because they're old and they're about to kick the bucket.
Right.
If you think a lot of them, so Sam's got a whole new perspective on looking at things. It'd be like a new doctor, a new fucking, somebody coming in replacing somebody else, because they have more knowledge. And it's just it's a cool way to think of it if you look at it like that.
Yep.
That's the kind of the vibe I got from it, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is kind of what, yeah. Later, Brienne of Tarth and Podrick Payne spar with swords. Podrick is struggling, and Tormund tells him that he has long to go. He also calls him a lucky man when he gets thrown down by her because he's got the odds for Brienne, right? So.
Oh yeah, man, you could tell. He just wants it. He wants to jump on that thing.
Peter and Sansa are watching Brienne and Podrick sparring. Sansa dismisses Peter's attempts to get under her skin by stating that she is safe at Winterfell and has Brienne at her sworn shield. She retorts that she only wants peace and quiet when he prods her that she looks unhappy. Brienne, having seen what is going on with Sansa and Peter, moves over to intervene, and Baelish scurries off. When Brienne asks why Peter is still at Winterfell, Sansa replies that the Knights of the Vale helped to turn the tide of the Battle of the Bastards. Literally the only thing he has over them right now at this point in time, right? And it's not even of his own doing. I guess, yes, he brought them there, but that's because he conned his way into that whole fucking situation. But however, Sansa is confident that she knows what Peter wants. Jay, what do you think Peter wants, Baelish?
He wants a little pink snapper. Sorry, man. You called it Sansa when he says it like that.
Oh God. Okay, so here's Jay's favorite scene coming up here. You ready for this, guys? Later, Arya, having acquired, we'll get it here, is riding south when she stumbles upon a group of Lannister soldiers who have been sent to the Twins to keep law and order. And wouldn't you fucking believe it? One of the fucking soldiers is Ed fucking Sheeran. What the fuck? Okay, Jay, we didn't tell you about this happening. I know you're an Ed Sheeran fan. Did this take you completely out of it or what? Because, like, what the hell?
It threw me off for a second.
Right?
But, I mean, really, it was good. I mean, because they were singing, so I was like, oh, then he busts out that one-liner. Oh, yeah, it's a new song. It's a new song from...
That was it. He didn't say anything after that at all. He just like made glances and shit like that. The other guys kept talking.
Yeah, watching them eat the rabbit. Everybody's watching. It feels like I felt like everybody in that group wanted to sit beside him at one point. He looked like in the picture, like they all moved closer, and even Arya looked like she was a little bit.
Well, she in real life was a huge fan of his. I think that's why like they worked him in. I don't know how that came about. Kyle, do you know anything about this? The behind the scenes of all I know is that the actress that plays her was a huge fan of his because I heard her talk about it outside of this. Or yeah, I mean, she could have just been saying that. I don't know, but that apparently was the case. But I got to tell you, Jay, for me, and I think for a lot of other Game of Thrones fans, this was fucking ridiculous that they put him in this episode because like they never were this type of show prior to now. Like they never did these like star roles for like celebrity, like, you know what I mean? Like they would never just stick somebody in a soldier's costume. And like, these were mostly unknown, right? These were mostly unknown, a lot of these actors at this time, or at least people you may have seen in like small things here and there, but you didn't know their names. Like a lot of these guys. Right. But the fact that he was in this, I thought was very distracting and not like this show's history at all to throw fucking a celebrity guest cast in the fucking in this role. I don't know. Kyle, did you remember not liking this at the time when it happened, or did you care so much?
I don't think I cared too much, but I was still like, what the fuck's Ed Sheeran doing here?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they needed to use this property, man.
But not only that, he was singing too. So it's like, yeah, Ed Sheeran, you're known for singing. Take this role, or you're singing for like one scene. Like, you know, like I don't even think he's done it. Has he done any acting since? Like, I don't know. Like, has he? Yeah,
I don't think so.
No idea.
Do you want to call this acting? Like,
I think they did this in season 3, though. I forget who it was.
Was there another?
They had. Yeah, for the Red Wedding scene, I forget what band they had come play.
I didn't know that.
But they did.
Blink 182.
Like,
no, I would have noticed.
Yeah,
that.
I'm not. I don't remember the name of the band, but fucking, they did bring somebody in to do a couple parts, but it wasn't so in your face like this, right?
That's why
he's ginger, so I mean, he stands out like a sore thumb anyway, right?
That's what
neat.
Yeah, go ahead.
He looks like they might have to borrow his land. Like, you know, because they're over there in that area, and like he had that big property over there. Maybe they wanted to use the water there, that special thing that he has over there on his property.
Yeah, he's Irish, special. Right? He's Irish. Yeah, so all right. So there you go. What the fuck fucking Ed Sheeran guest appearance there.
That was so weird. It was weird.
The soldiers are singing a song and offer to share rabbit meat for dinner. When the soldiers ask why she is riding south, Arya tells them that she is traveling. King's Landing. Arya learns that from the soldiers that the Great Sept of Baelor and its surroundings have been destroyed and that the Red Keep has been essentially sealed. The young soldiers insist that she join them around the campfire to eat and rest. When they ask her about where she's going and why she's going there, Arya tells them that she's going to kill the queen. Thinking that she is joking, they all burst out laughing. Arya smiles and laughs with them. And that's the scene. That's the Ed Sheeran scene of Game of Thrones, guys. There you go. So
I'm surprised I never seen a pop up or nobody's ever said anything about him being in there. Like, give it up. Maybe they all forgot that he was in there.
People didn't like it. There was a backlash, I remember, at the time. About, like, there were some people that were like, "Oh my god, Ed Sheeran," but like, most people were like taken out of the world as a result of, what I mean, like the fact that he showed up, right? So, all right, couple more scenes here to get through. Elsewhere, Sandor Clegane is riding north with the Brotherhood without banners. Of course, the hounds through thick snow. They decide to take shelter for the night at an abandoned home, but he recognizes the house, declares it unsafe. Beric dismisses his unease and orders that they set up camp for the night. The men enter the house where they discover the corpses of the farmer and his daughter, Sally, whom he and Arya Stark had encountered 2 years prior. Wow, that's how much time has passed here already, eh? Following the Red Wedding. It appears that the father, I guess that tracks in the seasons too, I guess, if you think of it that way. It appears that the father killed his daughter and himself so that, that'd be 3 years, I guess, and so that they would not starve to death. Sandor recalls seeing Beric at the tournament at King's Landing. Yeah, sorry. It appears that the father killed his daughter. Yeah. And wonders aloud why Beric keeps getting resurrected, as there's nothing special about him. Beric confides that he does not know that the Lord of the Light is telling him. Sandor remarks that he does not believe in divine justice, citing the fate of the farmer and his daughter. Despite his fear of flames, Thoros tells him to look into the fire. He tells him that only the fire can show him what the Lord of Light wants him to see. At first, he can only see burning logs, but then, to his own shock, he sees a wall of ice. He also sees a castle where the wall meets the sea, a mountain that looks like an arrowhead, and thousands of the dead marching past. Beric asks Sandor if he now believes that they are there for a reason. Some great quotes in this scene. I love the Hound. I love how he's such a pessimist. It's great. This great scene where he's like, "There is no divine justice, you dumb cunt." He keeps calling people cunts all the time. And he's like, "You think you're fooling anyone with that top knot, you bald cunt?"
Bald-headed fucks.
Because he's got the top knot, like the fucking, like the
man bun,
the samurai fucking top knot type shit. He's got on. He's like, what doesn't scare me? Bald cocksuckers like you. He's just firing them off in this scene. He's great, man. I love the Hound, honestly. Like, he's such a he's always so pissed off all the fucking time, man. Like, he's just like, fuck this, fuck that. It doesn't scare me, bald cocksuckers like you bald. Great stuff. Great lines, man. Great lines. Later, Thoros finds Sandor burying the dead farmer and his daughter Sally in the snow. Thoros deduces that Sandor knew the dead, but he admits that he doesn't. The two of them bury the bodies together, and he attempts to deliver an epitaph to the seven, but can't remember the rest of the verse. Instead, he simply tells the dead that they deserve better. What do you like the fact that he's met up with this Brotherhood without banners? Do you like this this grouping?
I don't know yet.
Any comments?
See where it goes.
Oh, okay.
I like where the actual jokes and stuff, like you said, the one-liners and stuff that he says, but I don't know. He's not. I don't know if he's over the seasons, if he's changed as a person. Maybe he's not as I don't know, like them as much. You know what I mean? In a sense, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna see soon, but I mean, it just shows that he gives a shit when he's burying these people.
Yeah. And he's a complicated character for sure, though, I think, in his feelings towards everything and everyone. Right?
I thought to him, hey, you know what? If he buries them, they won't become White Walkers, will they?
No, you have to burn. You have to burn them. I think you have to burn them or something, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, they can still be risen.
Yeah.
They can still come from the ground. Oh, okay.
Well,
so we might not see the end of those two.
Yeah.
And then while Sam studies, Gilly entertains her young son, Sam, who is now a toddler.
I was going to say, he looked like he was fucking 5 years old, bro.
Time is
the last time we seen him. Yeah, I know, 2 years.
Yeah, time is
said in a sense, but like, holy fuck, the kid's walking.
Gilly asks him about the book he is studying, which is about the Long Night. Sam mentions that Stannis Baratheon told him that dragonglass could be found on Dragonstone. To his surprise, the book reveals that Stannis was understating the situation. There is a mountain of obsidian just outside the castle. Sam excitedly prepares a letter to Jon Snow relating the discovery. The next day, while gathering empty bowls from the cells of the Citadel Sanitarium, Sam is confronted by a shadowy figure whose arm is almost completely covered in grayscale. The figure asks if the dragon has arrived yet. Sam sputters that he does not know, and the figure withdraws his arm. And to nobody's surprise that has been paying attention, that arm, of course, belongs to Jorah, although you don't see him here. But, like, you know, he asked about the Queen of Dragons. We know he fucking had that arm that was affected with the grayscale prior to him being exiled for like the third fucking time or whatever from Daenerys there. Yeah, pretty crazy surprise though. I really like the setup of this thing, and as I was saying, as they're making all the connections, I love this kind of storyline of the connections that he has with Sam, despite never having met him, through him knowing his father, who was part of the Night's Watch, the Lord Commander previously, and that kind of goes into the setup for where this storyline goes in the next episode. And I just really like how they kind of had these people at different opposite parts of this world, this fictional world, and brought them kind of together here. And because of that, they feel like, you know what I mean? He's got like some allegiance of some sort to him, because he's like, I knew your father. You know what I mean? Like that. I love that kind of shit, man, when they're coming together, all these guys here after years of watching the show. So I really like this whole Jorah ending up there. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening with them, right? So, but did you like this, Kyle, when it first happened? Do you remember being surprised by this? Because we all thought he was dead, I think, at that point, right? Like he was gonna.
Yeah, I was happy to get to see him on his new arc and everything. I always liked Jorah; he was a good character.
Yeah, same. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Nice to see he's still alive.
Yeah. And finally, last scene here. Speaking of Daenerys, meanwhile,
she looks hotter, eh?
Do you think so?
I don't know. She's matured, it looks like, a little bit. She's not going to take her clothes off, right? We figured that out already, right?
Meanwhile, Queen Daenerys Targaryen, along with her closest advisors, Tyrion, Varys, Missandei, and Grey Worm, land at Dragonstone Island as all three of her dragons circle overhead. After landing, Daenerys kneels on the ground and touches Westerosi land for the first time since her birth. She and her entourage then climb the steps to Dragonstone Castle, accompanied by Grey Worm and other unsullied guards. They silently enter the unguarded main gates and deserted courtyard. When they enter the castle itself, Daenerys briefly studies the fiery stag on one of Stannis' banners. After a moment, she rips it down with a firm tug. Daenerys enters the empty throne room and gazes upon the throne of Targaryens, hewn from volcanic rock. When Grey Worm moves to stand beside her, Missandei holds him back, waiting for their queen. After a moment, Daenerys strides past the throne and enters the chamber of the painted table. Surveying the discarded markers from Stannis' last use of the table, Daenerys turns to Tyrion and remarks, "Shall we begin?" And Jay, what did you think about this area here after having watched House of the Dragon more recently? Do you think this was this set? I can't recall. Do you think this looked like the scenes we were watching on House of the Dragon? This area they had her set up in here, or what?
Well, I mean, at least the whole where what's his name was making that board, the game board, I like to call it, the map there, right? That looked familiar. I'm pretty sure that the throne kind of looked familiar in that setup too, right? But I just wasn't 100% sure. I didn't go back to check it out or anything, you know, like on the House of Dragons. But I'll have to see when they come out with the new one. But I did take a second look at it just to see.
It did look somewhat familiar, some of it. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if they stuck to the same type of look of everything, but I don't know. Kyle, do you recall at all, after having seen House of the Dragon not too long ago? Like, do you think this looked similar? Because this would be the place that was in House of the Dragon, no? That she's at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years
I
later?
don't remember seeing in House of the Dragon, like, you know, at the end how there's like that big wide open window, I guess you'd call it, where you can see out.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that in House of the Dragon, where their table was.
Right. Yeah.
No, maybe not the window, but I remember the table, like because that table looked pretty worn down too, right? Like it didn't look like it did in the House of the Dragon. You know, like it's been used throughout the years and stuff like that. So I was just trying to put some perspective into it.
it would be cool if they did continue like with that show, having kept this stuff in mind and then made it look new in that, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be interesting to go back, which we are going to do, everybody. So make sure to tune in for that. We will be covering House of the Dragon when we're done this, leading up to the new season of House of the Dragon when it comes out, and kind of doing that in real time. So make sure to tune in for that, everybody. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I would be interested to see if maybe online even there's pictures side by side of kind of like this kind of set, like what they made it look like here, and compared to that, because it would be really cool continuity wise if they did make it look similar in House of the Dragon. But the problem is, like Jay pointed out, there's just so much better graphics and design and like set work, like you know what I mean, in House of the Dragon. It's a beautiful looking fucking show that first season, compared to, I feel like, this, where you had Starbucks cups in the background towards the season, right?
I'm still keeping my eyes open for that shit, man. I gotta see if I can point it out.
Season 8. It's not in this season. It's in season 8. Okay, so keep your eyes open for season 8. Okay. Anyways, all right. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode, though, guys. The next episode we have to cover, episode 2, is Stormborn in season 7 of Game of Thrones. So make sure to tune in for that one. But Kyle, thank you once again for joining us, man. This is always a lot of fun. And, let us know. It'd be nice if you can join us once more, at least towards the end of the show, if you can find it in yourself to listen. If you want to come on here and bitch about all the things you feel like you got wrong in one of those episodes, I'm here for it. I'd like to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I just, for Jay's sake, I'm trying to remain optimistic about this revisit of the season. So which I am excited to rewatch it, because, like I said, I don't remember. Maybe I'll think differently this time around. And I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did, I feel like, even the first time around, for that matter. But yeah, Kyle, this is always a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, guys.
Okay,
Thank you, bro.
Jay, anything else you want to say about this episode? Any final thoughts, anybody, about this? No?
I'm just waiting to see where it goes, man. Like, cause you guys made me nervous about how these next 2 seasons are gonna be, in a sense that are they gonna be what I'm expecting, that if this show's supposed to live up to or not, right? So I got high expectations and I got low expectations, so I'm kind of keeping myself neutral right now. I'm gonna be Switzerland for now.
I think the main thing, at least from what I can remember, is you're not going to be happy with how everyone's story ends in this show. Just be prepared for that, because I think some people's stories ended better than others, in my opinion. Like, so, like, that's where I think that's, for me, I think that's where I think the most argument was had, other than the fact that how much we don't really focus on certain aspects of the storylines in the last season as well. But I feel like some of the endings for certain characters didn't go the way that people wanted them to. So as a result, they kind of hated on that. At least that's my perspective on it. Kyle may think differently, right? But without going into spoilers at this point, it's hard to kind of point something out. Because in my mind, there's 2 characters in particular I hated how their fucking story ended. And it was just kind of like, it kind of like put a fucking bad taste in my mouth for like their whole journey throughout the show, honestly. But I'll leave it at that. So we'll get to there when we get there, right? So
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna be it for today, guys. We'll see you guys next week. And Kyle, once again, happy to join us anytime, man. Come back, and especially for House of the Dragon, it'll be good to have you back for that, for sure. All right, man.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.